Hello, everyone. It's Kavita from Red Door Yoga. Thank you for joining me online again for the Red Door Yoga Mini Sutra series. Today, I wanted to talk to you about the suffering of entitlement. Okay, now, not all of us think we're entitled, but we all behave that way. Sometimes, often, actually. We may not realize that we're behaving in an entitled way, but we often behave in an entitled way. Okay? And what I want to point out to you is, first of all, one of the sneaky ways in which entitlement can show up. And I want you to kind of show you how, when it does, how it leads to your suffering. It leads to your suffering, and it can lead to others, but it certainly leads to yours, okay? So one of the sneaky places that entitlement can show up is related to putting up boundaries. And I am all for boundaries. Boundaries are a healthy thing to have in play, and they are not only healthy, but they're actually kind. Okay? And I did talk about the kindness of boundaries at one point in time. They're kind because boundaries are simply us expressing to others the manner in which we find acceptable and safe for them to interact with us. Okay? So it's a good idea for you to put up boundaries. It's a good idea for you to communicate what you find acceptable and safe, but it's also kind for you to put up those boundaries because you're letting people know how you would like to be interacted with, as opposed to asking them to read your mind and magically know what you need, okay? But here's the thing. When we get to the place where we're like, I'm going to put up this boundary because I have the quote-unquote right to that boundary, okay? It's, this is the way I want to be dealt with. I have the right to ask for that, and I'm going to ask for that. Well, I use the word ask, and we may even use the word ask when we're deciding to do this. But it's not uncommon that what happens is we ask for the boundary. We say, this is how I would like you to be with me, okay? And then the other person either doesn't want to give us that boundary, or they become defensive in some way when we ask for a boundary. And here's the thing. They have every quote-unquote right to their response, whatever their response is. Now, we're hoping for what we consider to be a positive response. We're hoping they go, oh, I'm sorry, absolutely, I can do that for you. If you ask for them to, maybe give you some space for 10 minutes, you're hoping they're going to be like, absolutely, I'll give you space. You just let me know when you're ready to chat. Okay? And they have the right to respond that way, but they also have the right to go, no, I'm not going anywhere. They absolutely have the right to say that. They have the right to be offended. They have the right to have any response they're going to have. But what happens is, if they choose a response that we don't want, our tendency is to now get defensive on our own end, going, I have every right to ask for this, and you should give me this, and you shouldn't behave that way. We feel entitled to a particular response from them. We don't just feel entitled to our boundary. We feel entitled to their response to our boundary. And that's why if they don't give us the response that we want, we will oftentimes ramp up against them. It's our entitlement. If you recognize this, then when, using the example of asking for a boundary, when you ask for a boundary, no matter how the person responds, you are going to deal with it within yourself. If I asked, for example, to be left alone for 10 minutes, and the person says, no, I'm not going anywhere, then I'm going to take responsibility for myself, and I'm going to leave. I'm going to go find space for myself. That's my responsibility. But what I'm also going to try not to do is be upset with them for not giving me the space. I'm going to try not to believe inside that they had no right to not give me the space. They had every right not to give me the space because they had every right to their response, to their choices, to their boundaries. So I want to get to the suffering part. When I am functioning from a place of entitlement, I dig in where now I start in on a story. They are not giving me what I've asked for. They have no right to do that. They're being disrespectful. They don't love me, whatever that story is. But that story that I start to tell about how they are choosing to respond, that story starts to make me suffer. I am upset that they don't respect me. I'm upset that they don't love me. I'm upset that they feel like they have a right that they don't have a right for. Now I now feel like it's my job to teach them a lesson regarding that. All of that stuff. Basically, my mind is getting incredibly stirred up by this. And that's why I'm suffering, because my mind is stirred up. If, however, I ask for a boundary and they don't want to give it to me, they respond in whichever way they respond, and I recognize that they had every right to the response that they're choosing, and that their responses are about their needs and their stuff, just like my boundaries are about my needs and my stuff, then their response does not actually cause me to end up in mental and emotional upheaval. I can still remain very clear about what my needs are and how to get myself those needs being met, like how to get the needs met for myself and by myself. It's not their job to meet my needs. I would love if they would help me with this, but it's not their job to meet my needs. It's my job to meet my needs. So if I can stay clear on this because my mind is not stirred up, then I will not suffer as a result of their response, and I will in fact move towards greater peace and clarity within myself now and for the future as I continue to meet my own needs. I hope that was helpful, everyone. I very much enjoy being here with you and chatting with you guys about these things. If you've got questions, if you've got comments, please do put them in the comment sections. Please do share the videos with others that you think it might be helpful. And I look forward to being on here again with you next week, the week after. In terms of your questions, by the way, your questions help me to know what you need from me. And so, if you've got even a question that you think is not really that important, ask it. A little tiny question about something that seems unimportant to you might really spark a great discussion. So ask it. That's why I'm here. Ask. Okay? Thank you, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you online again very, very soon. Namaste.